I decided I was gonna jump off the couch and do a somersault off the couch, and, we're at the end of the ottoman, and my wife's, famous last words is, "Don't do that, you're gonna get hurt," and I thought, "Whatever," and, I've I've really made it through a lot of things unscathed in my life, unbelievable amount of risks that I've taken that I just walked away from, I was almost had a reputation for just, man, that kid White, he just he just somehow gets out of another one, and, not this time really, and, I went to jump, and the ottoman, the piece of wood at the end of it broke under my feet, and I got slingshotted into the, ground, and it happened everything happened so fast. I couldn't get my arms or anything down, and I hit my head here, so right here, and I live in a ranch home, so it's just a concrete slab, no subfloor, so just carpet and concrete, and I hit my head so hard that it, centralized, the centrifugal forces or whatever at the C6 vertebrae, and the pressure was too much, and it exploded into what's known as a burst fracture, so I blew up my cervical spine, and, um it was like this insane, feeling over my whole body. I couldn't feel anything. I wasn't in any pain right away, but I knew something was, like, drastically wrong. I mean, just and my wife's like, "Kenny, Kenny," and I'm face down, and all she did was flip me onto my back, and that's the sum total of any movement that we that was done to me, and, I very rapidly realized that I was something was wrong, and, um I, said, "Call my dad," and we live fairly close to one another, and I said, "Call 911." So the EMTs showed up, my dad and my mom got here, my mom, kinda took over with the girls. Nobody really I mean, no one really knew what to do, uh, no one's prepared for something like this, and, they put me on the board, got me on the in the ambulance, my wife, met me at the hospital, and they took some scans and said, "Absolutely not. We're not touching this guy." Thankfully, though, they did get some imaging done, and so the on-call neurosurgeon, Dr. Raul Singh, had a chance to look at it right away and start making a plan. But they got me on the helicopter, and I flew 45 minutes, or no, it's about an hour drive. It was 15 minutes, 50 fastest ride I've ever been on. And, what's crazy is I remember everything. A lot of trauma situations, you're out of it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I was coherent for the whole thing, and I was totally paralyzed from the neck down.
Were you
And,
throughout that time, were you, obviously having never been in that situation, were you trying to tell your body to move? Like, what is that experience like where you're
uh,
coming to this
that's funny
realization?
you said that. So this is when I really knew things were bad. Is I was laying there on my back, and I thought that my legs were in the air for some crazy reason. Like, I felt
Right after the
100%
fall, this is?
right afterwards. My wife put me on my back, and I thought that my legs were up in the air, like maybe like in a happy baby type yoga pose. I
Mhm,
don't even know
sure.
what to say about
Oh,
it, but
great
I
descriptor.
I would have bet all the money in the world that my legs were straight up in the air. And I just like, you're hanging on to pride. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and I was like, "Hey, honey, before the, uh, ambulance drivers get here," like, this whole thing is so surreal, right? But I was like, put my legs on the ground. I didn't wanna look foolish, like, with my legs trapped in the air, and she's all, "Your legs are on the ground." I was all, "Oh my god. Oh my god. This is serious. This is," and my dad's in the background. Dads are always positive usually. He's all, "Probably a pinched nerve or something," and I'm like, "Yeah, right." Like, I'm like, "This is not a pinched nerve." And, when I got to the Memorial Hospital, UC Health, and I've got nothing but great things to say about, the ambulance AMR, uh, unbelievable professionalism. They, they don't always have to use the board in my kind of situation, but they did. And I mean, who knows? Everything that happened along the way led to me sitting here right now. Right. So at AMR, they started it. The doctors at the hospital that said we're not equipped to deal with this. The helicopter driver. I mean, the clear skies that night, all of it. Right. I mean, bam. And I got to Memorial, and they wheeled me out of there, and I went into the big room right out of like Grey's Anatomy, man. Like lights, doctors, headlamps. Just I'm going, oh my god, and got me into an ICU room, and Dr. Roll Singh, he came in and he said, "Look, you got to have surgery, buddy, and the sooner the better." And I, obviously at that time realized I was paralyzed. I knew that I had broken my neck. Um, I didn't know so much about the spine versus the spinal cord, and the you know the bone. It could take a lot more abuse than the if you were to and I'll try to keep the technicalities to a minimum, but there's
No,
two
it's all
kinds
good.
of injuries in the spinal cords. There's a complete injury, which is it's in two pieces, and
Completely severed.
it's completely severed, and pretty much um, from the point that it's severed down, it's inoperable. I mean, as far as your body, there's very low opportunity you're going to get anything back from below the injury. An incomplete injury is more like a snowflake. Like everybody is going to be different, but the spinal cord sustains damage, but it's not in two pieces. In that situation, there's a lot of hope. And a lot of it has to depend on your doctors, your care, I always say good God work and hard work, they go hand in hand. And but they went in there, and it was like I said, okay, I've never been one to shy away from if you got to make a decision, just make it. You could always change your mind, I mean, not always, not in this case, but I said, okay, let's get ready and let's go, let's have the surgery. Let's do it right now.
Now, was that information about the complete and incomplete damage, was that communicated and understood by you before going into
I would
surgery?
say not so much.
Yeah, it
I
had to be
learned
chaotic.
I ended up, yeah, it was chaos, right? And all that he had said was don't he told my family, he's not going to be 100%. He's never going to be the same again.
Wow.
Don't expect it. Don't, don't think he's coming back from this all the way. Um but he's got to have the surgery. Like that's not a question. Cuz the C6 vertebrae blew up. It disintegrated.
Mhm.
So I don't have that anymore. And what they did is he went in through my neck. They have to get out all the bone fragments. They can't leave any bone fragments. And and then they put a spacer in, basically like you're lifting a truck or something.
Wow.
They just slide it in there. Then he put me on my back, put rods on either side, and fused the C4 to the T1. And I had to have a second surgery. That's why I'm wearing this neck brace. So that this is coming off March 31st.
Mhm.
So that's great. But at the time, it was a C4 to the T1, and they put the screws in rods and it sewed me back up. And the surgery was really extremely long. I can't remember now, like, 8 or 10 hours or something like that. I did have time to leave a message to my daughters.
Oh my gosh.
Um, I mean, it all happened fast, but there was enough time. My brother lives in Westminster. He got to the hospital. My sister made it just in time. My nephew actually answered the phone, his phone, because nobody her phone was on silent, and they went and woke his mom up and said, Uncle Kenny's hurt. And she got to the hospital just in time for me to go back to the OR. And so we made a couple, because you don't know what you're coming out of on that. I mean, it's
Mhm.
major spinal surgery. I mean, you could die, you could be paralyzed forever. He told me the risks, going in, and he's like, I'm just gonna set you up for the best chance you can have. And Um, I mean, obviously God was with them. He's the man. Dr. Rall Singh is the man. And but it was still a pretty uncertain time at that.
Hmm.
I woke up, I was still totally a quadriplegic. I mean, I couldn't lift up my arms, I couldn't move my legs.